Awesome. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is RJ Panesi. I work on our employer relations team within our careers office here at WGU. Before we jump in, just a reminder, the session is recorded and it will be shared out with you all. The chat is open, so if you do have questions, feel free to post those in the chat, or if you'd like to take yourself off mute and ask any questions that you might have, feel free to do so. We will have a designated Q&A at the end of the session. So if you want to hold off on questions until then and ask at the end, completely up to you, whatever you are comfortable with. Before I pass it over to our presenter, Jonathan, did you want to say just a couple words?
Yeah, I can talk for a couple seconds here. My name is Jonathan Dela Cruz. I'm a strategic partnerships manager for WGU. I manage the partnership and relationship with Walgreens corporate, and it's been an amazing partnership, continues to be an amazing partnership. We signed this partnership and made it official back in January of 2022. And just to give you some idea, last year, fiscal year 23, which was July 1st, 2023. July 1st? No, July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, we had 416 team members apply to come to school at WGU. Of that, 62 team members actually started with WGU. So it's a nice, it's a nice partnership, and we're delighted to be offering these webinar series to team members. We typically offer it every quarter. So any questions, I will put my contact information in the chat. So back to you, RJ.
Awesome, and I will say this is I think our fourth time hosting with Walgreens, and I know those that have attended have had a lot of fantastic feedback. We are going to welcome back our presenter from those presentations, Lola Clayton, but these have gone over very well, and I know that a lot of people have, like I said, some fantastic feedback. So we're very much looking forward to this presentation. We have a great presentation that literally this applies to everybody's life. So hopefully you're able to take something away and apply it here moving forward. So from here, what I'll do is I'm going to pass it over to Lola. Lola, the floor is yours.
Thank you, RJ. Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate it. And thank you, Walgreens team, for your time. If you're able to see my screen, I think technology and all is working very well. So our topic at hand today is about achieving work-life balance and some practical tips and suggestions about work-life balance. The term in itself and the phrase in itself, work-life balance, has been tossed around quite a bit. Most feel that work-life balance can be found in remote positions because you're home, you're in your environment, but work-life balance means different things to different people. And so I start off with that phrase and with that expression because as we go through the content and the context around work-life balance and what's in this presentation, think about how it applies to you and your current role. Think about your personal life, your professional life. In doing some research in this topic, I know I personally weigh out what's important to me, what I prioritize in my personal life, as well as my professional life and my professional goals as well. So I encourage you to do the same with the topic. And again, the chat box is wide open. If you have any questions, by all means, please toss your questions there in the chat box. Even if you have any testimonials or personal reflections, it's difficult not to do this presentation and not contribute to some sort of personal testimony, at least for myself. So if you feel compelled or if you would like to share as we go through the information, or if it's something that resonates with you, then by all means, I invite you to share and put that in the chat box. All right. So in getting us started, just a few things. This presentation and workshop is brought to you by the Career Services team. The information that you have is research that, yes, I've done and led, but also our team has contributed to it. So if you have any questions about the content and maybe you want to ask privately or one-on-one, please feel free to email us at careers@wgu.edu. I am happy to answer that as well. If you'd like to send any questions over to Jonathan or RJ, they can get that information over to me and I'm happy to answer it for you. Our agenda is going to look a little like this. 4 things listed on the agenda, but lots of information packed into all 4 of these topics. So we'll start off with what is work-life balance? We'll define it. We'll talk a little bit about thoughts to potentially improve your work-life balance and what that definition or that means to you. We'll then lean into promoting work-life balance. So you've acquired your definition, we've identified what it is, but how can you help others to see, or even if you identify within your peers or someone that's working around you, are they stressed? Are they burnt out? Maybe they're showing signs of fatigue in the things that they do and they perform for their daily task. How you as a colleague or peer can help to promote work-life balance with others that you work around. And then, of course, questions and answers are always invited, but we will have some time towards the end to lean into a full Q&A session. So in getting us started, the definition, what is work-life balance and what does it mean? Well, it means that work-life balance is about feeling content. If feeling content in who you are, feeling content in the decisions that you make, feeling content within your mindset, and it begins in your mindset. What are some priorities to you? Again, personal reflection for me, one thing that I'm an only child, so I have to navigate working with my senior parents who constantly go to the doctor. I swear they have a doctor's appointment every day. So working from home works for me because they live about 2 hours away from me, so I'm able to travel and go back and forth and be there for them as needed. So professionally and personally, remote work works for me. But for you, what is work-life balance? Where would you find contentment in it? And so that does begin with your mindset. It does begin with what you feel are priorities that lead into your life. Work-life balance is not something that you can find. It's also not something that all of us are genetically born with. It is something that we create and we develop as we grow and we bloom into the professionals that we want to be. Balance is created by you, and sometimes that balance means that you may have to make some tough choices and you may have to make some tough decisions. Otherwise, you'll find yourself being pulled at both ends of the rope. So sometimes tough decisions, or even saying no and letting your no mean no, or your yes mean yes to things and projects and events that you're able to commit to. So why does work-life balance matter? Well, I'll lead off with a few quotes. So, and these quotes aren't listed on the slide, but what I thought was very interesting is I found some information from some executive leaders, and one being, his name is Joe Bai, and he's the CEO of a company called Eden Workplace, which is it's a hybrid platform that helps, kind of like Teams or WebEx that we all use. So it's a hybrid platform that's offered to different organizations. And so Joe's comment about work-life balance was that it creates the right kind of environment that enables your team members to feel like they can do a job and still be able to prioritize important things in their life. In addition to that, Joe said that work-life balance is creating a space for people to live their own lives and in practice follow their own schedules. So sometimes most of us work better, or we flourish in an environment where we're self-disciplined. Maybe you went to school virtually, so you knew what your assignments were for the week and you were able to get them all completed. So whatever that balance looks like for you, whether maybe you do your best work late at night, like after midnight, or towards 10 p.m., or maybe you're early riser like myself. I like to get up very early at like 5 a.m. That's when my brain juices are working, and that's when I'm able to really perform and be very creative in my own space. So depending on what that means to you. But leading into our question here, why does work-life balance matter? So people typically feel positive about the time that they spend working and the personal time that they spend outside of work. And as we advance through the presentation, we'll talk about what that time outside of work means to some people. Sometimes it's donating their time to a charity of their choice, or sometimes it's even exercising. Sometimes people can feel less overwhelmed as they can feel like it's just not enough time in the day. So being able to balance work and balance personal tasks accordingly. Sometimes it means if you have an upcoming deadline of a project that's maybe it's not your favorite project, or maybe it's one that you've been dreading, but you've decided to carve out time in advance to go ahead and complete the project. I'm going to complete it a week earlier. Therefore, I won't feel overwhelmed about it. Therefore, I will find personal contentment in knowing that that task is behind me. So I'm going to get it done early as opposed to waiting to the day before or a few days prior. I'm going to go ahead and get it done early so I can be done with it. So for some, that's their thought and that's their navigation tool towards work-life balance. And then for others, the thought could be work-life balance matters because they can be fully mentally present. So maybe you are just there. Sometimes people are sitting in meetings. I can definitely testify to this one. My personal being and myself is sitting in the meeting, but sometimes my brain is not there, or my mind is thinking, man, did I put that last load of laundry in the washer this morning? So maybe that's you, maybe it's not. But sometimes personal work-life balance can just mean being personally and fully mentally present, putting your phone away and just being here or being present for the task at hand. So thought around work-life balance is, how do employers view it? Well, a few things come to mind. Work-life balance helps to build a culture of care through three things: trust, recognition, and flexibility. Perhaps employers can provide paid leave or generous PTO. So some employers, some larger ones may say, we're going to turn the break room into an area of zen. So we're going to put succulent plants in the break room, or we're going to have low lighting in our break room. Just so as you walk away from your daily functions, you can have an area to go to just breathe and relax and reset. Others offer generous days off. I know I was talking to a friend of mine earlier. She said due to Halloween, they're able to get off at 3 p.m. to spend time with their families or with children and take them out. So sometimes employers also find the root cause that offering areas and different pockets of work-life balance, it can be supportive to their teammates. Others offer recharge days, supportive breaks, quiet rooms. They don't glorify overworking. So if it's your day off, guess what? It is your day off. And so no tasks that are work related should be performed when your day off. Use that day off time exclusively just for you and for what you need to do. In addition to that, it helps employees to prioritize workloads and meet professional and personal goals. And so I really like to hone in on the professional goals, because perhaps you're working in a position now, but your career pathway that you've identified for yourself is to be a leader and then move up to the next level, maybe from a supervisor to a VP, whatever that pathway looks like for you. But as you think about those professional and personal goals, how will you infuse work-life balance into that time? And what type of leader will you be to be able to share and coach your team members how to utilize work-life balance? So employers do find it to be very important, very critical to their team and to their organization to achieve and to have opportunities for work-life balance so that employees can reset, they can take a deep breath. And breaks are fun, breaks are great, but sometimes extended breaks to be able to really, really walk away from the task at hand or think projects that you have that are approaching, to be able to reset in your thoughts and have mental clarity to move forward. So why is work-life balance important? Well, I've uncovered 10 reasons, and we're not going to go through all of them, but some really crucial ones are less stress. Stress can be a result of poor or declining health if it's too much stress that inundates you. I gave the example earlier about potentially a project or a task that's maybe not one of your favorites. So going ahead, getting it done early, having it behind you so that you can have that weight. You won't have that stress on you to worry about that project. Also, maybe reason 4 is one, enhances your ability to be present, to have that mental clarity, to be able to focus when you're in a meeting or when you're in a one-on-one or coaching session, or even when you're just working in a relaxed environment with your team. Reason number 6, a balanced lifestyle helps to increase engagement at work. So therefore you can help other team members. Perhaps you see someone else that, or you identify someone else on your team that looks like their plate is heavy. They have a large load. Maybe you can lean in and support. Is there anything I can do to help? How can I help you? Your facial expressions look like you are overwhelmed. What can we do to work together as teammates and as peers? Reason number 7 helps us to increase that work-life balance can potentially lead to more creative thinking. Maybe you're creative, like me, your creative juices are prompted during different times of the day. I know my peak hours are the morning, sometimes in the late afternoon as well. And I normally have my notepad to write down these thoughts and ideas and my creative thoughts so that I don't lose them for the next day. Work-life balance, number 8, one of my favorite ones, is it can help you be more productive. So if you've had that opportunity to walk away, to reset, or even just to read something of interest, maybe you don't leave your desk, maybe you just pivot and read an article or something that interests you, then you can come back, you can restructure, and you can refocus and new thoughts to being more productive, or maybe your task list for the day can get finished faster now that you've allowed yourself some time to move away from the main task that you were contributing to. And happiness and fulfillment and higher levels of success also are results of allowing work-life balance to be important in your setting. So again, just a reminder about work-life balance and what it means. It could mean different things to you, but one of the main functional vessels of work-life balance is that where do you find contentment? And of course, that's a rhetorical question for you to think about and for you to consider, but where do you find contentment as you think about and you process your professional and personal goals? So work-life balance, how can we improve? So here are some questions to think about and for you to consider as you perform your daily task. So first question is, how do you look down on employees for having water cooler conversations or chatting in between assignments? Better yet, are you someone that joins them when they do so? So we've talked a little bit about breaks, walking away, times to reset. And sometimes, especially if you're an extrovert like myself, you may say, oh, I need to get up and let me go over here and ask RJ, how was his weekend? Or let me ask him about the weather in New York. Now, if you're in a virtual environment, sometimes that may mean your communication channel, WebEx, Teams, whatever that may be. You may ping someone that is your colleague of choice. But if you're working inside of a building, do you take the time to connect with other employees, or do you snark at them when they've decided to take maybe 5 to 10 minutes just to talk about the weekend or to talk about the weather? I know in Virginia it was weirdly 80 some degrees for the entire weekend in October, but it was beautiful weather. Now we're back to 50 degrees. So that's really been the topic at hand here lately, is what that weather, how it has changed. So how do you view employees as they decide or they choose their ways to walk away and reset? Another question to consider is, do you donate your time, your expertise, or your funds to a charity of choice? So we talked a little bit earlier about what that looks like to you. So I talked some time about resetting, but sometimes resetting could mean exercise. Sometimes resetting could be charities that you enjoy. Sometimes resetting could be maybe taking doing a walk or a marathon run and getting your friends together. Sometimes resetting could be going out to dinner. So what do you donate your time personally to something that matters to you or that means something to you? And for some people, being able to do some humanitarian efforts means a lot to them. That helps them to say, I've given back, I've participated in my community, and so now I feel good about returning to my professional goals or my professional tasks that I'm required to do. So these are just some ideas, and again, rhetorical questions and thoughts about things that you can do to infuse work-life balance for yourself. The next question is, as a leader, or if you're in a leadership role where you have others that work alongside you, do you work past 8 p.m.? So this is one that sometimes sparks debate because some leaders are often looking at their email. Your email can be connected to your phone. If an email comes late, you're ready and rapid to respond, even if it's after your work hours. But as a leader, do you work past 8 p.m.? Well, I thought it was definitely something interesting about that, that leaders must lead by example. They should set the tone and expectations for their team when it comes to work-life balance. And if you do, your team will likely feel obligated to do so as well. So if you answer an email after 8 p.m. or after work hours, perhaps your team says, well, this is the tone, or this is what Lola expects of us. So let me go ahead and respond to that email. But if you are a leader who insists on promoting work-life balance, and once you're off work, you're off work, and you yourself tune out after your workday has completed, then that helps to set that same type of tone and environment for the teammates that support you. If a one leader says, and this is David Anganetti, who is the CEO of Hawaiian Islands, he leaves a quote that says, if employees see their boss constantly staying late or working extra hours, they might feel that they need to start doing that as well. And then on the other hand, if they see their boss prioritizing their own personal life balance, they will do the same. So that formula is set by a leader, no matter what type of role you're in. If you're leading others, they're watching you, they're seeing how you respond, they're seeing how you prioritize tasks, and also how you lead and coach. So just as a leader, keep in mind that can be helpful. If you tune out or you decide, I'm going to answer that email tomorrow, that's what your team will be able to see. And so our final question here about improving work-life balance is, do you add exercise as a part of your daily routine? So exercise can go hand in hand, kind of with the donating and your expertise and your funds, because sometimes donating could be just, again, contributing to a marathon that is for a good cause, or just doing something that's rewarding, or some sort of community outreach. But with exercise, there is a breathing method. It's called the Dr. Will's 4-7-8 breathing method that you can use. So maybe it's not always physical exercise that you find that can help increase your work-life balance. Sometimes it's just an opportunity to breathe. And so I'll share with you that breathing method that can noticeably help to impact productivity in some of the tasks that you do on a day-to-day basis. So step one is, if you count to 4 while breathing deeply through your nose. Step 2, you should see that your belly is expanding in and out while you're breathing. Step 3, you can count to 7 and then hold a deep breath. Step 4, count to 8 slowly while exhaling through your mouth. And then step 5 is repeat that about 4 more times. So that's probably about a 5 to 7 minute exercise. But that breathing, again, even if it's not physical exercise, it gives you an opportunity for your mind to recharge, for your thoughts to recharge, for your blood to reflow, so that you can find yourself refocusing mentally and giving full clarity to the project that you're working on. And if you're in Walgreens and maybe you are customer focused or you're client focused, maybe that's your role. Perhaps you've encountered a customer that's having a gloomy day, just not the brightest of days. And so sometimes that breathing exercise can give you an opportunity to still be customer friendly, customer oriented, live by the mission of Walgreens, but also give yourself an opportunity to say, sometimes every day is not going to be a good day. So it's something to think about. Another question about work-life balance is, do you make yourself available to experiences and perspectives of people who you respect or that you find invaluable? So relationships with experienced professionals or industry experts can provide some guidance that gives you an opportunity to learn from situations that you haven't been in before, and can potentially help you to avoid any mistakes. So do you have a mentor? Do you reach out to your leader and share examples or thoughts or questions with your leader? Do you ask your leader, what's your thoughts around work-life balance? Have you used work-life balance before? Or how do you use it personally and professionally? It's something that maybe I'm working on for myself, so I like to get your perspective. So They can also give you ideas on how you can work towards having balance, not only interpersonally, but also maybe something that you can apply at home as well. So reaching out to others whom, again, you find a different perspective, maybe they have a different vantage point, or that you just respect as a professional, asking them about their thoughts around work-life balance. I asked one leader before, and they said they live by a checklist. Before they end their day, the day prior, they write a long checklist of things that they want to get done in order, in priority order for the next day. So that's how each day they end their day. And they normally take at least the last 30 minutes of their day to write that checklist out. And so that helps them to create balance and also to allow them to assign priority to the things that they want to get done for the next day. And I thought that was very interesting. I actually took on that same concept for myself, because otherwise, especially if I'm in a remote, being in a remote role, it never shuts off because the computer is always here. I don't leave the computer at my desk at work, so it's always here. So I always have something that I want to do or that I feel like I need to do. So writing that checklist, once the checklist is done, or if it's a task that I can assign to the next day, that's what I'll do. So perhaps you can find someone with a perspective that you value and you can ask. So here is just a quick snapshot about work-life balance, and I uncovered this information from Comparably. It is some context that was pulled from previous and maybe even current Walgreens employees. It didn't tell me whether they were active or inactive right now, but it does give a snapshot of the overall organization. And so Walgreens work-life balance and what it's like to work at Walgreens. So it's noted that Walgreens employees generally work about 8.6 hours a day. Employees at Walgreens report that the work pace can be extremely fast. So there, on a typical day, depending on what role you're in, there are no meetings, but 76% of Walgreens employees look forward to interacting with their team every day. So maybe there's some water cooler conversations that happen. Maybe there's some personal, even professional conversations that occur, which I thought that was a great rate. Walgreens employees most often take about 0 up to 10 paid vacation sick days a year. So Walgreens does have a opportunity to promote work-life balance within their PTO time. 52% of employees report that they are happy with the work-life balance. And I think that is definitely good to hear. So maybe those of you who have joined us today can resonate or can provide a testimonial to that particular statistic that was uncovered. Walgreens employees typically get valuable feedback on how to improve at work each and every week. And then 59% of employees call their work environment positive. So these are some great noteworthy things about Walgreens overall as a company, how they view work-life balance. So definitely something to consider. And maybe your role, each role is different. So work-life balance is going to look different for different people in different departments and different units. But this is an overall concept of what has been stated. And so how can you promote work-life balance within your role? Well, number one, you can help someone to set boundaries when appropriate. The other great thing is that when you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious, you can introduce a technique called Pomodoro technique. And I'll go through Pomodoro technique because it's a really good one. I actually found this from another company that's using it. And then the third one is sharing responsibilities. So maybe projects, maybe in-store tasks can help to reduce burnout from each other. And also making the work environment as fun as possible, but ensuring that the job gets done and great results are met for the organization. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the Pomodoro technique. And so this is an opportunity that helps with time management. So Pomodoro is actually a tomato. It is if you've ever seen the tomato clock, it's the first clock that they use as a tomato timer. And so that's where that word Pomodoro comes from. And so it's a time management task and it has 5 steps. So it says step 1, choose a single task to focus on. It's just one single task. Step 2, set a timer for 25 minutes and work only on that task that you've selected. Step 3, after 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break. That could mean walk away. That could mean read something that means something to you. That means you can use Dr. Wells' breathing 4-7-8 breathing technique, but take a 5-minute break. Then you can repeat steps 1 to 3 4 times, and then take a longer break anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes afterwards. So this technique again allows you to provide your own sense of balance. And maybe this time frame doesn't work for you, but at least this is a thought, if it's something that you haven't done before, to try to have some work-life balance in your daily task. Right, perfect. So I wanted to take a few minutes. We do have a few minutes left to invite any questions. Then I can't see the chat box, RJ, unfortunately. I'm sorry, being that I'm sharing, but are there any questions out there about work-life balance or something that you just like to share personally? It doesn't have to necessarily be a question. It could be a thought around work-life balance.
No questions as of yet, but feel free for anybody that does have questions, post them in the chat, or if you want to take yourself off mute, you can certainly take yourself off mute and ask any questions that you might have, or if you do want to share anything that maybe might work for you as far as practicing work-life balance. I'm sure everybody would appreciate just some feedback and hearing what everybody might have to say.
As we think about any questions that may be out there, I do have a question for the greater audience. Have either of you ever heard of those work-life balance exercises? One, the Pomodoro technique, or two, the breathing technique? Or is there another technique that maybe you use yourself personally that you like to share? So just curious for the greater group if anyone has ever heard of them before.
So we have some people that have heard of it, some people that haven't.
Okay. And is there anyone that would like to share a technique that maybe they use? Maybe you have had back-to-back meetings in the morning, 9, 10, 11, and then finally you've reached your lunch break. Are there any techniques that you choose to use for work-life balance for yourself personally that you would like to share?
Lola,
Diane,
since I
go
work
ahead.
remotely, I like to take a couple of walks throughout the day just to kind of get me out of my home elements and be in touch with nature.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how that's going to go when winter's here. But definitely during the warmer days, I really enjoyed taking my dog with me for short walks.
Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan.
Diane shared that they begin yoga class with breathing techniques.
Oh, yes. I love yoga. That's a good one.
Justine shared ensuring meetings that we all can control, ending them at 25 minutes or 55 minutes, just to give people 5 minutes back in their day. I know we were just talking about this in one of our team meetings. We're actually restructuring just how we do meetings. And I appreciate when we get those 5 minutes back in the day, because I always find that it helps me kind of organize, okay, what do I have next, and prep for whatever that is, even if it is a quick 5 minutes. That's something that I know I feel much more prepared for. Diane also shared that they move 45 to 60 minutes every day, which is
Yes,
fantastic. I
that's
love
great.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving can be very helpful. Getting your joints moving. I know for me, especially sitting in a chair all day, after a while, I find my posture leaning forward and not necessarily being as straight as it should. So, moving definitely is helpful. Um, so if you're able to get up, stretch for a good bit of chunk of the day is definitely great. Sometimes I try my best to start out with a brief exercise in the morning, but sometimes it's a struggle between extra sleep or exercise. So sometimes the bed wins over the exercise. Thank you all for sharing. I really appreciate that. How about breathing techniques? I think they are very important. I also think in doing research with this topic that breathing techniques can sometimes be overlooked. But if we think about it, breathing techniques are trained to us in different capacities. Swimming, anyone that has experienced childbirth, Lamaze class is a taught breathing technique that's very important. And it's equally important just for us at any time, whether you're feeling overwhelmed or not, or you just need to take time to an inhale and exhale. Before a massage, someone was sharing with me in a previous session that before their massage is started, and they also get to take up acupuncture, that their therapist requires them to breathe in and out before they even will start the process or start the procedure. So just curious if anyone utilizes on a regular basis or a daily basis any type of breathing technique. And if you don't, it's no right or wrong. Just want to share it to the greater audience, not to forget that breathing is equally as important as moving around, also as exercising, as you are trying to find pockets of work-life balance throughout your day. So I want to say thank you all, Walgreens, for your time. Again, thank you so much for spending time with me and listening to this content around work-life balance. I hope that it has shared with you some nuggets and some things that you can walk away with, that you can utilize in your day-to-day task, and more importantly, that perhaps you can promote to others. That we've talked a lot about things that we can do, but be on the lookout for your teammates, for your leaders, and those around you as well. If you find or you observe things that maybe they look like the balance could be off, or their balance is shifting, then lend a hand to help. The breathing technique is great. Exercise is great. Walking away from your desk, whatever it looks like, to be able to help them so that they too can infuse some contentment and some work-life balance in their daily tasks. So I want to thank you all for your time. I believe I am passing it back to you, RJ.
Yeah, thank you, Lola, for one presenting. We very much appreciate you jumping in and sharing this fantastic information. Like I said at the beginning, you know, there's something that everybody could take away from the presentation. So that's certainly, we appreciate that. What I will do is this was recorded, so I will send this out to everyone. So keep an eye out for that. That'll come probably in the next day or so. So keep an eye out for that recording. And then if you have any follow-up questions for us, as Lola had mentioned, you can always reach out to the careers@wgu.edu email account. If there was anything specific to the content from this presentation, Jonathan shared his email at the beginning. So if you do have questions, especially if you're looking, hey, you know, I'm maybe thinking about coming back to school, earning a degree, certainly touch base with Jonathan. He'd be a great contact there. So from there, what we can do, we can wrap up. Jonathan, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, just that I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedule to join our webinar. I hope it was helpful.
Awesome. All right, everyone. We'll have a great rest of your Tuesday. Happy Halloween. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thanks, Lola.